Hello friends, welcome to Programming Knowledge. My name is Prijan and today we are starting with a new series where I teach you how to build a shopping list type with React Native and Firebase. So first of all, what you will learn from this project. So we will be using React Native Expo Manage to create our project. So you will learn how to initialize a project in Expo. We will also preview our app on the simulator while we are coding. So you will learn how you can run your app at the same time you're coding. We will be building multiple custom components and design them using style components. So you will learn that, and we'll also use some of the hooks and state like use state, use effect hooks, etc. And this will not be a static app. We will connect it to the Firebase, and we use Firestore for our all the database management. So you will learn how you can create a connection between Firebase and React Native app, and we will perform all CRUD operation: create, read, update, and delete the data from Firestore. So before going into further, let me just show you the demo of the video. So here is the app that we will be building. So as you can see, we have a heading called shopping list. These are the number of items that are present in our app. So currently in our list we have no items. That's why it's 0 right now. Here is the delete button. Using this delete button, we can delete all the item at once. Here you can see the today's date. We have a beautiful logo in the background. We have a new button, so user can click on this button and a prompt will be open. So here you can write anything, let's say milk, and if I press on add, it will be added to the list. Let me add another, let's say bread, add, let's say drinks, add. So right now we have total 3 items, that's why it's showing 3 over here. So if you already purchased drinks, then you can check mark on this, and as you can see the icon will be changed and the color of this item will also be changed. So if you change your mind and you don't need bread, so you can click on this delete button and it will be deleted. If you want to delete the entire list, then you can click on this delete button and all the item from the list will be gone. So you will learn how to create this beautiful app from the ground up. You will learn how to use React hooks and state to manage the states. You can learn how to create a Firebase connection to the React Native Expo app and how to use Firestore to add and delete data. So let's get back to our presentation. So what you need to build this project. So first of all, you need Node installed on your machine. We'll be using multiple npm packages, so you need npm also installed on your machine. We will use React Native Expo. So right now you don't need to install the React Native Expo libraries before starting the project. You can run a single command from the Expo CLI to download all the dependency at once. So open your browser and type React Native Expo. Go to the Expo, go to the docs, here installation. Here in the installation process, click on the Expo CLI. Okay, so you can copy this command npx create expo app, and here you can type the name of your app on your terminal or command prompt if you are on Windows machine. Just like that, you can search for Node, and you can download Node, the latest version for Node on Mac or Windows if you are using Windows machine, and you can use the npm package as well. So, and the last thing we need is Android Studio, because we are going to preview our app on a simulator. So if you are using Windows machine, then you need to use Android Studio to open the Android emulator. And if you are using Mac, then you can also download Xcode from the App Store, so that you can also preview your app on iOS simulator. So this whole project will consist of a front-end part and the back-end part. So first we create front-end part. We will create beautiful design using JavaScript and React Native syntax. We will create these custom components. As you can see, if I click on add and type, let's say, milk, and add, this is our custom component. It has a check icon, it has a text, and it also has a delete button. It has some border radius and background color, so you will learn how to create that and using style component also. So that's it for this video. From the next one, we will start to initiate our project in React Native Expo and start doing the coding. Thanks for watching it. Hello friends, welcome to Programming Knowledge. My name is Brijan, and let's start with the project creation. So first of all, open terminal or command prompt if you are on a Windows machine. To initiate a new Expo Minute project, just type Expo init and then project name, let's say shopping app IT, and press enter and create a blank project. So I already done that. So open your project on any Visual Studio Code or any text editor of your choice, and also open the simulator. Here I have iOS simulator because I'm using a Mac machine, but if you are on Windows machine, you can also open the Android emulator. So the first file that will render onto the screen when we start the app will be app.js file. So open terminal, and to start the project, just type npm start. Now you can press A to open Android simulator and press I for iOS simulator. Let me press I, and it will try to run the app on the simulator that we have already opened. Okay, so our app is running. Let me change this text to hello world, and you can see. Okay, so let's start by creating a custom component called shopping item. So first of all, create a new folder called components. In this folder, let's create a file named shopping item.js. Here I will be using ES7 code snippet. Let me save this, and we can remove this, import shopping item. Now we can see shopping item over here. Let me remove this one as well. So here if you are seeing these on a iOS simulator, you can use safe area view. Let me just say this. Now it's fine. Okay, on shopping item. First of all, shopping item will consist of three components. The first one will be the checked icon. Then we will have a text, shopping text. And then we have a delete button. Okay, so for the checked icon, just open your browser and search for Expo vector icons. Here click on this. You can search for any icon. We want a checked icon, so let me use this one. First of all, you need to import. Okay, now you can use this. Let me just save this. As you can see, we have our checked icon over here. Then we have a text. So let's create a text component. Let's name it bread. Okay, and delete button. Search for delete. Let us use this one. We also need to import material icons for that. Copy this one. Save this. Okay, so we have our checked icon, we have our text, and we have a delete. In view, let's provide styling. Let's say container. Here we put this in a pressable because we want to do something when user touch it. Okay, and also the delete one. Yes, so text. Let's say title. Okay. First of all, container, then title. Now we want these to be in the same row. So for that, let's say flex direction row. Okay, and let's do background color to see how much space it occupies. Let's say red. Okay, now we want all of three to be end of the screen. The delete button we want right of the screen, the check box left of the screen, and the bread will occupy the rest of the space. So for that, title we can do flex 1. Okay, and in container we can do justify content space between. Okay, let's apply some padding. Let's say 10. Okay, it's good. In the title we can do margin left. We can also do align items. Center. Okay, so let's also provide width. Let's say 90% and align self to center it. Also provide some border radius. Let's say 5, make it 10. Okay, it's good. The background color we can provide light gray, let's say. Okay, it looks good. We can increase the font size, let's say 17, and we can increase the font size as well, let's say 500. Okay, it's good. So our shopping item is ready as of now, because when we connect it to the Firebase, user can also check and check it. So we need to change this icon based on a state, but we will look into that in later part of the video. So for now it's good. So if we go back to our app.js, and let's just copy this and paste it multiple times, just to see how it will look when we have multiple items in our list. Okay, so we can see one problem over here. We also need to provide some margin vertical. Let's say 10. Okay, it's good. So if we again copy this, paste in. So this is how our list will look when we use flat list component to render the multiple items present in our Firestore database. So that's it for this video. This is how you can create a custom component and use it in app.js. You can create a separate file for that, and you can do all the styling and designing in this component, and you just need to import this component over in app.js file and use it as if it is built-in component. So in our next video we will try to do the heading part. We will try to render the heading, number of items, date, etc. So thanks for watching this. Hello friends, welcome to Programming Knowledge. My name is Brijan, and let's continue with our shopping list app with React Native. So in last video we have created this shopping item custom component, and we have used it in our app.js file. So now let's continue further. We will create a header part. Let's create that. Let's create a view first. Let's style it. Styles.header. Here first we have heading. Then we have number of shopping items. And then we have a delete button. Delete all. Okay, so in heading, let's create a text and name it shopping list. Let's style it. Let's heading. Then number of shopping items, text. As of now, let's hard coded 0. Style will be styles dot, let's say, number. Actually let's say number of items. And then delete button, we will use the same delete button then that we have used over here. For that we need to import the material icons. Let me just save this. We also need to import the view and pressable. Okay, here we have our heading. So let's styling header. Then in header we have heading, number of items, okay, so first of all we want these 3 items in the same row. We can use flex direction row. Let's apply color just to see how much area it occupies. Okay, let's actually reduce the width to 90% and align self center. Let's apply some padding. Let's set 10. Let us delete some of the shopping item. Okay, let's say justify content space between. Okay, now heading. Let's increase the font size. Let's say 20 or 30 maybe. Let's apply font weight. Let's say 600, 500. Okay, and do flex 1 so it will occupy the maximum amount of space. Okay, number of items. Let's increase the font size to 15, let's say. Okay, 30. Font weight, let's say 400, 500. Okay, here in header let's also do align item center. Let's do margin left, margin right, sorry, 10. Okay, it's good. Let's delete the background color. Okay, in header let's apply margin bottom. Let's say 10. Okay, it's better. Okay, so we have our heading shopping list. This 0 will represent the number of items in our list. So as of now we have 3, so it will display 3, and we have this delete button. Let's actually increase the size of the delete button. Okay, it's better now. Now let's create a text input at the bottom of the screen. For that we need to import it first. Text input. So it will have a placeholder as of now. Enter shopping item. Let's apply some style. Let's say input. Okay, so first of all, let's apply some background color. Let's say light gray. Let's apply some padding, 10. Font size of, let's say, 15, 17, let's say. Let's decrease the width to 90%. And let's say align cell center. Let's apply border radius, let's say 20, 10. Okay, it's good. Now let's say margin top auto. Okay, so with margin top auto, our text input will be stick to the bottom of the screen no matter how many list item we have in our list. Okay, so here user can type anything he wants. Text input. Okay, so our front end part of the app is pretty much ready. We have one thing to do. We can change this icon based on user interaction. If user check this, then it will become the checked icon, and if user uncheck this, then we will display this icon. But we will do that once we make a connection between our app and the Firebase Firestore. It will become a lot easier then. So that's it for this video. Thanks for watching it. Hello friends, welcome to Programming Knowledge. My name is Brijan, and in our last video we created this header which consists of a heading, number of elements present in our list, a delete button, and a text input. So in this video we will create a Firebase project and create a Firestore database and make a link to our front-end application. So for that, first of all, open your browser and search for Firebase. Click on the Firebase backed by Google. Now you need to sign in with your Google account and go to your console. Here you will see a button to create a new project. Click on add project. You can name it whatever you want. Let's name it shopping app writing. Click on continue. It also provides Google Analytics for your Firebase project for A/B testing, beta testing, etc. But for now we will disable it and create project. It will create a brand new project for you. Okay, it says your new project is ready. Click on continue. So here we are in our new project. As you can see, this is our Firebase dashboard. You can create apps for iOS, Android, web, Unity, and Flutter, etc. Here we have authentication. Firebase also provide authentication like email password authentication, sign in with Google, GitHub, Facebook, etc. But what we are interested in is a Firestore database. So first of all, you need to create a app in your project. So since we are using React Native, we will click on the web. Here you can name it your app. Let's name it the same. You can give a different name than before. Now click on register app. Okay, so here first we need to install Firebase on our project. So copy this command, open terminal and paste this and run this command. It will install Firebase in your project. Okay, so Firebase is installed in our app successfully. Let me just reload this app. Okay, so now go back to your browser, and here you need to copy this code in your project. So first of all, let's create a new folder. Let's call it Firebase and create a new file called index.js. Copy this code and paste this over here. Here we are importing initialize app from Firebase app. This is the most important part to create a link between Firebase project and our front-end app. It contains API key, auth domain, app ID, etc. And finally, we initiate a link between our project application is equal to initialize app, and we pass this Firebase config object. So let me just save this, and you can continue to console. Okay, so here it says we have one app, shopping app YT. Here are the all configuration for our project. So what we are interested in is Firestore. So click on the build and click on Firestore database. Here we can create a database in which we will store all our shopping items. So create a database. It will ask you if you want to start in production mode or you start in test mode. So we will start in test mode. Here you can select a location near to you, cloud location. Okay, so our Firestore database is created. Here we have collection, and in collection we have documents. So if you click on collection, we can give a collection ID, and then we can add documents, and each document will be a shopping item. We will not add this manually over here. We will create a Firestore database from our front-end application, and we will add documents through our app. So minimize this window. Here, let's discuss the structure of our shopping item. So if you go to shopping item, here we will have a shopping item object. So what we pass in a flat list will be an array which consists of many shopping item lists, and each shopping item will have three properties basically. The first property will be id. So each shopping item will have a unique id because we need to pass an id into the flat list so that multiple items can be distinguished from each other. The second property that we'll have will be title. Title is nothing but the shopping item name. So this bread, if we add any milk, etc., so it will be considered as a title. And third we will have is check property. So this is check property will decide if we have purchased the item already or not. So user is able to check or uncheck this item by clicking on this checked icon. And this is check property will be a boolean, so it will either have true or false. So this is basically a structure of our shopping item object, and we will create a collection named shopping list, and in that shopping list we create multiple documents which we'll consider as a individual shopping item. So that's it for this video. Thanks for watching it. Hello friends, welcome to Programming Knowledge. My name is Brijan, and in our last video we made a connection between the Firebase and the front end part of our application. So in this video we will try to add data from our application into the Firebase data store. So first of all, open your browser and search for Firebase. Go to console. And this is our project that we have created. And we also created the Firestore database. So this is the place where we can see our data. So you can click on go to docs. Here click on fundamentals, click on build and click on Firestore. Get started. Here you will find the code snippets for doing all the CRUD operation: create, read, update and delete. So in our case we need to first of all install the Firebase that we have already done. Now we need to import this Firestore. Copy this, go to the index.js file, paste it over here. Now this is the initialization part of the Firestore. So we can initialize it using this. Copy this, paste it over here. And now how to add the data. For adding data we need collection and add the from Firebase Firestore. So we can copy this, paste it over here. Now we need all these functions and variables in our app.js file, so we need to export it from here. First we need to export app, db and these three functions. Let me just save this, close this one. Now come back to our app.js file. Here first of all we have created this text input, so we need to create a state that we can store the title from. So create const, let's say title, set title, use state. By default it will be an empty string, and you need to import the use state from React. Okay, so in our text input, let's provide the value. Value will be title. Now whenever user change the text, so we need to set that text into this title state. So on change text, we use this event. We use an arrow function that whatever text user inputs, we need to set this on title. Let me just save this. Okay. So now let's create a function which we will invoke when a user submit on the keyboard. Const add shopping item. Okay, now come back to this and copy this much. Here, since we are using await, we need to make this asynchronous. Now as see, we are first awaiting this function and we using add doc, and we create a collection using a database that we have created in index.js, and here we name our collection, let's say shopping. Here we can pass the data that we want to input, but first of all let's go back to our index.js file, copy this much because we need to import this. Import from Firebase index. Let me just save this. Here we do not need this. First of all, we need a title. Title will be the title that we have created over here. Then we need its checked property, whether it is checked or not. So by default, whenever we create a new item, it will be false. It will be unchecked by default. Let me just save this. And now we can call this function on the submit. Here, let's say on submit. Add submit. Now let me just save this. Here, now let's try to add something. Here, let's say milk, and let's press the enter button. Now go back to your browser and refresh the page. As you can see, we are seeing the document and shopping collection is created, and we have our first item milk, and the is checked property is false. Now let's make some changes over here. So after successfully inserting the document, we can set the title back to the empty string. Let me just save this, and let's add bread this time. Press enter. As you can see, it is also get emptied. We can come back, and here we have our second item, bread. So if you are wondering that we are not including the ID that I have told you about in our components, shopping item will have three properties: ID, title, and is checked. We do not need to create ID explicitly because every document here have its unique ID. As you can see over here, it's a uniquely generated ID. So whenever we retrieve the data in the state in our next video, then we can use that docref ID. We do not need to create an ID separately. So this is how you can add the data from your front-end React Native app into the Firestore. Let's try to add drinks and press enter. You can come back and here drinks will be added. So that's it for this video. In our next video we will retrieve all the data from the Firestore and we will use a component called flat list to display all the elements over here. So thanks for watching it. Hello friends, welcome to Programming Knowledge. My name is Brijan, and in our last video we saw that how we can add data in Firestore using the React Native app. So in our last video we inserted these three data. The first one is drinks, bread and milk. Now that we have inserted this data in our Firestore, now we will need to retrieve it in our app so that we can show that in a flat list over here. So first of all, go to your console and click on go to docs. Here you can click on build and click on Firestore. Here go to get started. So we implemented this in our last video to add the data. Now to read the data, we need to implement this. So first of all, we need get docs function. So we will just copy this and in our index.js import it from Firestore. We also need to export it. Let me save this. Here we will import this from Firebase/index. Okay, so now let's just copy this function and create a new function over here. Let's name it get shopping list. And paste it over here. Since it's an await, we need to make these asynchronous. Let me save this. So what this function do is it using the get docs function from Firestore and it access the collection that we have created over here. The name is shopping, so we will just change it to shopping. And on this variable we are applying the for each iterative method, so that each doc that we parse we need to get the id and the data. So let's just remove this. We need id and data. So now that we have created this function, we need to call this function on use effect hook, because we want to retrieve the data once user open the app. And for that you need to also import use effect from React. Here let's call the get shopping list function and we will pass nothing in dependency array because we want to call this only once. So let me just save this, and if I go to console you can see, let me just clear this, again save this. As you can see, we are getting our data. The first one is the ID of the document, which you can see over here. Then we have is check property false and title is strings. Then we have bread and milk and etc. So now that we are getting our data, let's create a state so that we can store this data. Let's name it shopping list. By default, it will be an empty array. We don't want this. Okay. So now we want to set this to set shopping list. We need to create an object because we also need an ID. So first of all, we store ID. Let's store first of all doc.data. We use spread operator, and we need to create a new field called ID which will hold our doc.id. Let me just save this. Okay, so now let's first of all remove this. Here we create our flat list. So you need to import flat list from React Native. So when we have larger amount of data in our array, let's say if we have 10 or 20 items, then it doesn't mean anything to use a flat list or a scroll view. You can use either of them. But if you have hundreds of thousands of items in your array, then it is nice to use the flat list because it doesn't render all the element at once. It will only render the elements which are currently visible to the user. So when user scrolls down, the more elements will appear. So it takes argument. First is data. In this case is our shopping list. Okay, now we need to render the item. So we want to display this shopping item component. This shopping item component we need to modify because we get the props here, and the only props that we are interested right now is the title because we haven't implemented the check functionality yet. In our next video we will try to update our shopping list item from the app so that we can check or uncheck the item. So we will implement that in that part of the video. Here let's say props dot title. Let me save this one. Back to web.js. Here let's pass title because we received title in shopping item. Title will be our item dot title. So each object in our Firestore, this is considered as object, and we are passing this title. Okay. Now each item in our array need to be distinguished from each other, so we need to pass a key extractor. In this case it will be ID. Now we want to do conditional rendering because if our list is empty, then we do not want our app to crash. So we provide conditional rendering shopping list dot length. So if it's greater than 0, it means we have some amount of data, then we render this, and if we do not have any data, we will render an activity indicator. Let me just save this. As you can see, we are getting the data successfully: drinks, bread, and over here if we go to our Firestore, we have drinks, bread, and milk. So right now if I add, let's say, Coke, and I press enter, and if I go to the browser, As you can see, new data is added Coke, but we are not seeing that data over here, because for that we need to refresh this again and we are seeing this data. So there are a couple of methods that you can do. You can create a on snapshot method that always listen to the data changes. So whenever data change, it will automatically re-render the list. But for the sake of simplicity, let's use the shopping list after adding the data. So whenever we add new data, we will again call the get shopping list to retrieve it. So let's say egg, and if I enter, as you can see, egg is added over here. So that's it for this video. In our next video, we will implement the check uncheck functionality, and we also implement this number of list in our item. So thanks for watching it. Hello friends, welcome to Programming Knowledge. My name is Brijan, and let's continue with the shopping list mobile app with React Native. So in our last video, we have implemented the retrieve function in our app, so that whatever user add, let's say butter, and if I press enter, as you can see, it will be added to the list, and we are using a flat list to display all the data. Now let's try to implement the update functionality so that user can check or uncheck the item. So for that, first of all, let's implement that functionality from our app, the front end part. So go to the shopping item.js. Here we need to create a state. Is checked, set is checked, use state. By default, the value will be prop dot, because we will pass this from our app.js. So here let's also pass the isCheck property, and let's also pass the ID. Let me just save this. Item.isCheck. Let me save this, and in our shopping item, now it's fine. Okay, so we need to change these isCheck property based on user clicking on this check button. So for that, go to the expo vector icons, search for circle. We need a check circle. Let's use this, copy this. Okay, so here, based on user clicking, if isCheck property is true, then we want to display this icon. Otherwise, we want to display this icon. Let me save this, and let's apply on press. We will set isCheck property to the opposite of whatever isCheck property is currently. Let me save this. So if I click on, let's say, egg, you can see bread, milk, butter, but it's not permanent. If I reload the app, you can see it's gone because it's not permanent. We are not writing the data in our database. So let's do that now. So go to the docs, go to build Firestore. Here go to the manage data. Here we can find this code snippet for update a document. So to update some fields of a document without overriding the entire document, we will use the update method. For that we need doc and update doc. We need to import this. First of all, import these from index.js. I already done that. Update doc, and export it also from update doc and doc. In our shopping item, let's import that. We need a db doc update doc from Firebase. Let me just save this. Now let's create a function which will be called whenever we update this stack property on the front end part. Update is stack. Okay, so let's go back to the docs. Let's copy this much and paste it over here. Since we are using a wait, we need to make this asynchronous, and we change this to shopping graph. Use the reference over here. So we are getting the reference from our database. We have collection name shopping, and the third argument will be the id, the doc.id, which holds in our props.id. And here we want to change the isCheck property, and we set it to isCheck property that we have right now. Let me just save this. Now we can use a use effect hook. So whenever there is a change in isCheck property, use effect hook will automatically call this update isCheck function. Okay, use effect. Update is checked, and we want to call this function whenever there is a change in isCheck property. So we pass isCheck state as a dependency. Let me just save this, and if let me just delete this, and if I click on egg, now go back to your database Firestore, you see it's become true if let's say drinks. Okay, so let me click on drink. As you can see, it becomes true. Let's butter. You see, now if I refresh the app, it still preserve the values of true and false because we are getting this from the database. So basically this is how you can update a document. You can specify multiple fields over here, and remember to pass one thing that is important, that you need to pass the doc reference ID. So if we do not have the ID of the document that we need to update, Firestore cannot determine which document to update. So that's it for this video. In our next video, we will try to implement the delete functionality so that user can delete individual items as well as whole list. And we will also implement this number of item in our list in our next video. So thanks for watching it. Hello friends, welcome to Programming Knowledge. My name is Prijan and this is the last video in this series. So in our last video, we implemented the checked unchecked functionality of our app, and now in this video we will implement the remaining functionality, which is this delete feature. So first of all, go to your console, Firestore console, and click on go to docs. Here click on build and Firestore. Here in add and manage data, you can see the delete data. So to delete a document, we need to import delete doc. So go to your shopping item.js, copy this, paste it over here. But for that, we also need to import it from here and export it so that we can use it in another file. Let me save this and this one. Now let's create a function from delete shopping item. Go back to the documentation. Here we can copy this. Since we are using await, we need to make this asynchronous. Now we want to delete the document from shopping collection. So we write shopping over here. Here we provide the ID which we get from props.id. Let me just save this. And after we delete the item, we also need to fetch the data again because our list is refreshed now. So in app.js, let's also pass the get shopping list function as an argument in shopping item. Here we can call this function after deleting the document. Let me save this. Let's call this function on press event of this delete button. Let me just save this. And right now, if I click on button, as you can see, it's gone. We can also see it over here. That button is no longer here. Let's try to delete egg, and you can see over here, if I press on delete button of the egg, as you can see, it's gone. So basically, this is how you can delete an individual document. You need to use the function delete doc, pass the tb variable, then you specify the name of your collection, then the ID of the document you want to delete, and make sure to refresh the list because it gets updated. Now let's try to implement this delete functionality. Okay, so here let's create a function delete shopping list. It is very similar to our get shopping list. we just copy that and make this asynchronous. So after getting the query snapshot of this one, instead of storing this in a state, we just need to use the delete function. Okay. So we traverse to this list, query snapshot holds the entire list. We map through the entire list, and if we go back to our shopping item, we have used the delete doc. We also need to import it over here, delete doc and doc. And as you can see, we have used these over here. So we can do the similar thing over here. Delete doc, and we provide the doc.id. Let's rename it to item actually. And here we can specify item.id. Let me just save it. So what it will do is that it will first fetch the list which we store in query snapshot, and one by one we delete all the items. We can also delete the entire collection, but it's not a good thing to do because then there we have no collection left. We cannot fetch data from anywhere. So let's find out our delete button over here, which is this one. And here on press, let's copy this function and call this function. Okay. Okay, so here is our list. So if I press on this, hopefully our list will get deleted. Okay, it get deleted, but we forgot to fetch the data again. So let me just copy this function, call this over here. Let me just save this. Now as you can see, we have no data in our item. Let's add something. Let's say milk. Let's say cheese. Okay. So now let's implement the functionality where it shows the number of items present in our list. It's easy to do. We have a state called shopping list. We can just use that over here, and we can pass the length. Save this. As you can see, currently we have 2. Let's add bread. 3. I can check this. Even if I reload the app, it will stay like this. And if I want to delete the cheese, as you can see, it also gets decreased. So basically, this is how you can create a shopping list app with React Native and connect it to Firebase. And creating a Firestore, you can save the data into a Firestore database and retrieve it at the same time. You can check uncheck your shopping item. You can also delete it, and you also get the number of items present in your list. So you can play around with this and improve an app. You can also improve a design. You can provide multiple colors, background images, etc. So that's it for this video, and this series ends over here. So thanks for watching it.